Hey guys, how you doing? I hope you're all well. So today I want to talk about why I think nostalgia is unbeaten. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that feeling that these new modern games just don't hit home like the games we used to play when we were younger. Those games just had something within them that is kind of hard to explain, but I always like to think about it this way, that it's like mom's cooking. It's always tastier and it feels homey and full of love. Because you know what they say, when mothers cook, they cook with love and leave a piece of their soul in there. I think that's the right way to think about it. Before everything became about monetization and control over how you use your games and console, games were created and purposed entirely for the enjoyment of the customer. Nowadays, or at least after COVID, every major company and AAA studio has moved in a direction of making games in such a manner that generates them the maximum amount of profit. And after they've got a taste of this set profit, they're like, oh, here's an idea. We put a half-assed game with bare bones out there, and we fill it to the brim with maximum monetization. This became a template for others to follow, that you will put minimum effort and reap maximum profit. Over time, there was less nuance within games, and gradually the companies all started saying the same slogan, that these are new games, modern games for modern audiences, which meant they were done with actually creating something with love and passion. I'm sure we've all seen the new footage that has come from the Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. Before the launch of the game, a lot of people pointed out that the game looked good. At certain angles and in certain situations, it actually excelled the previous form. But there were issues that were cause for concern. There were lighting issues, incomplete and bare-bones character renders, and of course, this was met with the same response that they are going to touch upon these issues and the company, before launching the game, will fix them. Well, what can I say? I don't think anyone is surprised at Ubisoft being Ubisoft and how they are. The game launched and it generated almost 100,000 players on Steam. The review, as it sits right now, is not looking good. And it's all thanks to the same motto: minimum effort and maximum profit. This single-player game has a storefront, just like its predecessors. They're selling the bones of the game itself, that should be a part of it when you buy it, as DLCs to you. The total amount that you would be spending to buy these so-called DLCs are up to $80. Which is rather hilarious because the storefront works perfectly fine. But unfortunately, the game itself has the same persistent issues since its reveal. The renders look clanky, the lighting is off at all times, the cutscenes are capped at 30 FPS, which has left a bitter taste in the player's mouth for the amount of money they've paid. This was supposed to be Ubisoft's ace up their sleeve, to save them from the impending doom that they're walking towards, to save them some of the reputation they once had, that is now being run down the drain at a fast rate. But of course, it's Ubisoft. Minimum effort and maximum profit. Lack of creativity and nuance. Launching games bare bones with no love or passion for the popular franchises. All of these coupled together have set a new precedent for the feeling we call immersion. See, the repercussions that was caused by the greed of these big corporations wasn't just to make the games or consoles more expensive, or gaming in general as a hobby for that matter. The ripple effect of these bad decisions have made these new games bland and soulless. Therefore, gradually there is less and less immersion within these games, and the gravitational pull that pulls these players day in, day out to keep playing the game for the sheer fun and enjoyment of it is disappearing. I'm sure everyone can relate to this feeling that we've all had in those moments when we couldn't wait to get back and start playing the same game again and again. I remember this quite well, this feeling of immersion that was created by God of War 3. When I was quite younger, I lived with my family in the the old house that we had. And we had this crew come over and basically scrub off the bad paint that was put before to basically put a new, fresh coating. I think I've mentioned this before that we had to basically relocate the beds and everything that we had because they would start from the very back of the house, and that would basically contain the rooms, and they would start painting from the back of the house to the front. So we had effectively moved the beds and everything to the living room, and we were basically eating and living and sleeping in the living room for that time. And I remember that God of War 3 had just come out, and I was playing it meanwhile these guys were doing their jobs. So day in, day out, I would hop back on the same game and continue playing it because of the sheer level of enjoyment and fun that was inserted within the game. And the level of immersion that this game created for me was so immersive and so attractive that even the guys that were basically trying to do their jobs by painting the house, at times they would stop and they would be like, oh man, that looks really cool. Wait, did you kill Poseidon? Oh, what's the next mission? Oh wow, you get to fight Hercules? Wow, look at this guy. He just decapitated Helios. This was so immersive and so attractive that it would make them stop doing what they were doing to just watch the gameplay because of how enjoyable it really was. I don't think we have that same level of immersion anymore. The previous games, or rather I should say the older games, used to make you do everything so quickly just so you could get back, sit in your chair, and start playing again. The new ones don't do that anymore. I remember when Uncharted 2 had just come out. When I bought the disc, I put it inside and I just sat and played it for 8 hours straight, without a break. And the only reason I would sleep is because the next morning I had school. Otherwise, I would be skipping everything and I would just continue playing more and more because it was that gravitational pull. It was that immersive that I just didn't want to stop playing it. Now, I want to mention I don't think this is just happening to the single-player games, but rather across the board. The same level of immersion was once created within live service games as well. When you played with a friend, it basically made the time go by very quickly just because you had fun. And it was such an amazing experience that you made most of your memories, especially for those who played Halo, who were in the golden era of Xbox 360, and of course, the legendary times that at least I had when Ubisoft was at its peak with Rainbow Six Siege. I remember the particular reason that I kept going back to Rainbow Six Siege and we kept playing the game together as friends was because of the level of immersion that it created. You don't get that these days anymore. You don't get that with Rainbow Six Siege at its state right now either. In the recent years, the game has lost its identity. It's no longer a tactical shooter that created that level of immersion that you would never experience in a tactical shooter elsewhere with your friends. It has now become a storefront for you to be welcomed in to buy things, rather than improving the gameplay, improving the mechanics, and actually improving the game in general. I'll give you an example. The very same friend that I've mentioned in a couple of my videos that we've been playing shooter games and live service games together for multiple years now, he is a huge fan of Elden Ring, and he's been playing it for multiple years, and he has hundreds of hours in this game. So once I asked him as to why he keeps going back to this game. I have played it, I have 123 hours in it, but I finished the game. So why do you keep going back to it? What is left for you? His answer was quite interesting because at the time I didn't understand it. I was just looking from the same view that, yes, it's a game and I finished it and that's it. It was more than that. His answer was the fact that this is an immersive world. The fact that there is somewhere in this wilderness that I've never crossed, that I've never even wandered off to see where it's going to lead me. Maybe it's a cave and it leads into a bigger cave, or maybe into a bigger area that there's going to be a boss fight or something. The level of immersion within Elden Ring that is caused by uncertainty of where you're going to end up, that is so similar to life, of how you're going to manage the boss fights, how you're going to manage surviving just in this wilderness alone. The not knowing of what is left for you to find out, just like how I enjoyed Uncharted 2 of how the story is going to progress. Just like how I enjoyed God of War 3 of how Kratos' journey is going to go and where is it going to lead him. The same level of immersion was created in a different sense of you not knowing what is left for you to explore and what is left of this story that you can still find out by just exploration. See, you don't see that level of immersion anymore. You see it here and there in these new games. You might see it in Crimson Desert, you might see it in games like Resident Evil, that they're still keeping the love of the franchise and they're still creating those immersive worlds for you to be lost in to discover the game for yourself. But the rest have become monetization schemes and plans for you to sign up for and pay subscriptions to and buy DLCs for a game that's supposed to have everything in one place. But instead, not only they'll charge you once, they'll charge you twice, 3 times for that matter. Because it's all about money. It's not about you being lost in that world anymore. It's not you being able to enjoy the uncertainty of the game and where it's going to lead you. Now, I will be honest. Some games, like Resident Evil 2, other games that other people are very much wanting a remake from, such as DMC 1, 2, and 3. Some games can generally use a remake or a remaster. And if it's done faithfully, I think it'll be as huge as Resident Evil 2. And it will create more memories for people because they're just immersed in that world once more with better visuals, with better combat systems, with something that is new, but the love, the creativity, the passion is still the same. But unfortunately, not a lot of companies think this way. Not a lot of companies want to keep the love and the soul of the franchise alive. They would rather trade it off for money, which is a sad reality and a harsh truth. But that's where we're at right now. So I will go back to my very first point. The nostalgia will be forever unbeaten. The memories that we've made with Resident Evil 2, the first Black Flag, and all the other games like God of War, and of course the early years of Rainbow Six Siege will be forever. It's just the fact that the companies would rather make these games for money purposes instead of actually doing faithful remakes or remasters, which evidently just tarnishes their reputation. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening to me, guys. I hope you have a good day. And let me know what you guys think. Let me know what games were nostalgic to you. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. Peace be with you.